Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Hello to those of you who are Muslim viewing this, those of you who are not, those of you who are black, those of you who are white, people of color who are not black. Assalamu alaikum. Hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It has taken me a few days to just let everything settle in my mind with what is going on current day. Speaking about protests, speaking about Black Lives Matter, speaking about the killing of George Floyd. And I'm gonna start off this video with saying I am 100% in support of the protests taking place. I am 100% in support. I myself attended a protest, the first one we had here in Columbus. And if you want to go ahead and check that out, it's on my Instagram. It's on my Instagram highlights. That's what it's on if you want to go ahead and look at that. And it is overwhelming. Honestly, it is 100% overwhelming. And I cannot say if rioting is right or wrong, but what I will say is that it is the only option that we have, the only option that we have been left with after years and years and years of not being heard, years of peacefully saying what we need to say, years of asking, years of doing our best to comply. This is the only option we have been left with. And you know what? It's creating the noise that it needs to create. It's starting to get some people to wake up, and there's tons of work to be done, period, flat out, but it's gaining the attention that it deserves. And I also want to say I was, again, personally at the riots, personal eyewitness. At least in where I was, in that particular area I was, because I want to debunk this whole looting situation pinned to Black Lives Matter. There are a lot of white people who are damaging property. In the section I was at, there were nothing, it was no one except for the white people were damaging property. What I saw, it was only, they were only white people damaging property at the protest. And honestly, you know why they were doing it? Because they have the white privilege to do so. They could tear crap up in front of any law enforcement and nothing's gonna happen to them. I watched white people go up to officers, cussing, yelling, walking straight up to them face to face without any fear because they have that white privilege to do so. If a black person were to walk up to an officer with that kind of force or damage things in front of an officer, they would be met with force. And it's crazy. It's absolutely insane to see how deep racism goes in an individual, in a social system in this country. And the systems within this country are built in favor of white people. And they are built to oppress black people. And I leave black people, I separate black people from people of color because we all need to be honest. Other people of color look down on black people as well. They criminalize black people. In Islamic communities, oh, this issue runs rampant. We need to address the racism within our Islamic communities. When your daughter or your son brings someone black home, you don't want them to marry them. You prevent marriages. Some cultures prevent marriages because the person is black, because their family is black. We need to address that. The first thing that needs to be done is question yourself, question the hypocrisy within yourself, question the racism that is within yourself. Allah will not change the condition of a people unless they change what is in themselves. You need to check yourself. And I said this on my Insta story. If you are claiming that you stand with black people, but you won't let your son or your daughter marry a black person, you are the problem. Muslims are not exempt from this. You are the absolute problem. Okay? It's insane. It's absolutely insane. But when I left the protest, I left there with nothing but sadness. I was just torn at the fact that it brought, like, you see the reality, you know the reality, but it brought that reality for me. Like, I didn't know how much I was affected. I didn't know how traumatic just racism, the trauma racism has on me, basically. And I was just so sad, and it had me down for days. And alhamdulillah, today I was feeling much better. So I felt good enough to make this video. But people need to stand up, okay? And what I also learned is that protesting is not for everybody. It is not for the faint of heart. I'm not gonna lie, I was scared. I was scared because I was like, you never know when the police are gonna start shooting. You never know when people with authority want to abuse that authority. You never know if you get too loud or you say the wrong thing or if you get too close, if they're gonna start shooting. They maced people. When I was there that day. There were other areas where I was at. I guess a fight broke out between an officer and a protester. But, and they were macing people who weren't doing anything at all, honestly. If they just got tired of you standing there long enough, they started macing. And again, you can go check that video out on my Instagram highlights. And I'm not saying all officers are bad, but also if you are an officer, if you are law enforcement and you see a fellow officer who is abusing their power and you don't do anything about it, a person with that same power, you are just at fault. You are the problem as well. Because if you, as another person with authority, do not have the balls or feel the courage, have the courage or the strength to stand up to a colleague, to a fellow officer, you are the problem. You are an accomplice. You are 100% the problem. But like I was saying, protesting is not for everybody and is not for the faint of heart. Just because you do not go out there and protest does not mean that you don't have a role. Everybody has a role. And that starts with having the conversation with your white friends, with your white colleagues, with your people of color who have negative views of black people, of the black community. Have those conversations, and not just have those conversations, challenge this negative mindset. It is deep within the psyche, this illogical fear, this illogical rationale of what a black person is, of what the black community is. You need to have these conversations, challenge this mentality, whether that be your colleague, whether that be your mom, whether that be your dad, whether that be your cousin, whether that be your brother, whether that be your friend. Stand up, speak your piece. Honestly, if you can't even speak out against it, there's a problem. There's a problem. You cannot say that you stand with the black community if you can't even muster up the courage to speak to those you are closest with about it, to challenge those you are closest with about it. So the first thing you can do is challenge this thought, challenge this psyche, challenge this negative mindset that people have towards black people in the black community. You can do things like vote. I never, ever voted in a local election. I have only ever voted in presidential elections. And shame on me. I never researched the importance. I never thought that it was important, but actually it's even more important. You have more of a chance of impacting your community by voting in your local elections, because guess what? If we as black people and people of color are not going out there and voting someone in from our community, then definitely people in the white community are going out there and voting in who they want to. And guess what? That person is going to hire people like them, and they're going to follow with their same mentality. We need to vote in people like us. It needs to be the law enforcement needs to be representative of society. Any level of authority, any occupation, it needs to be representative of the society, representative of the community. So we need to vote in local elections, and I have made it my absolute point to, from this day forth, vote in local elections. Research who is running, encourage those in those positions, in those occupations to run, and then vote and vote and vote. Because one thing you know for sure, if you don't vote, you 100% know that nothing is going to happen because you didn't vote. If you vote, at least there is a possibility and a potential of change happening, okay? Because you actually went out there and tried. If you don't do nothing, you 100% know that nothing is being done. If you do something, at least there is a possibility and a potential of it being done. So do not sleep on the power of voting. And again, we probably have even more of a chance of our voices being heard when we vote in our local elections. I don't even know what the official titles are called, but if you have chief up, I don't know, the Columbus Police Department, if you're voting that person in, or whatever you call it, for the head of the of law enforcement in your city, vote for who would be representative to you, for you, as Black people, as people of color. Outside of voting in local elections, you could, if you do want to go to the protest, not everyone is a yell and scream and confront face to face type of person, but you can go out there and be a support system for those who are exerting that energy. You can be a support system for those who need aid. You can render aid, because like I said, they're tear gassing people. The police are tear gassing people. The police are macing people. The police are shooting people with rubber bullets. You can go out there and render aid, because guess what? If someone gets hurt, the police are supposed to render aid, but they're the ones who are causing the damage. That person needs help. Someone may be out there who is alone, who came by themselves. Someone may have gotten lost from their group due to all the chaos. So you can go out there and render aid. You can help them. Those people who may have gotten mace in the eye or tear gas, you can help them. You can sit with them. You can talk to them. You can calm them down. Be that support system for them. You can do that. You can also contribute to organizations who need the money. You can help fundraise. You can donate to GoFundMe's. You can donate to those causes, or not causes, you can donate to those programs which are providing lawyers for people who are arrested during protests. Those are some of the things that you can do in order to support Black lives and the continuous movements of Black Lives Matter. And just show up, honestly. Speak up and show up, okay? Speak up and show up. And again, those people of color who are not Black, you say you support the Black community, will show it. Show it in your mentality. Show it in your actions. Show it in your words. Show it. What else do I have to say? There's just so many different things. Okay, I got a phone call. My video got cut off. But it's so important. Racism runs so deep in the world, honestly. Racism runs against Black people specifically, because you will have Arabs, you will have Indians, you will have Pakistanis, you will have Asians, you will even have some other African countries who are racist, who have a negative connotation of Black people in the Black community, especially in America. And this mentality needs to change. It absolutely needs to change. And within America, I live in America, I'm speaking on America specifically and what's going on, there needs to be reform 100%. These systems need to be burned to the ground, and they need to be reformed on the way back up, with putting people in these positions of authority who are representative of the population. Like I said, again, when I was at the protest, from what I could see, my eye did not catch an officer who was black or someone of color. All I saw were white officers, and that speaks volumes. We need people of color, we need black people in these positions in order to mitigate police brutality. If there's just 98% of them are white, you have that 98%, or you have a majority, and especially if they have this racist mentality, those people are the ones policing our cities. And we are going to be met with this disgusting disease of a mentality, which we call racism. It's just absolutely crazy. I mean, I know it's been going on since the beginning of time, but in my lifetime, this is the heaviest I feel like it has weighed on my heart and my soul. And I feel like, honestly, we're gonna get somewhere. I want everybody to keep going. I want everybody to play their roles. I want everybody to continue to speak up. I want those in positions of authority to challenge their colleagues in positions of authority. I want people to go out there and vote in their local elections. I want people in the Islamic community. We call ourselves Muslim, but then we sit here and we are racist against Allah's creation. We call ourselves Muslims, but we are hating the very person Allah created himself. So what you're saying is that you despise Allah's creation? Could you, on Yom Qiyamah, could you on the day of judgment, look Allah in the face, stand up to Allah and say, I hate your creation. I was racist towards your creation. I oppressed your creation. I killed your creation for absolutely no reason. I wouldn't let your creation marry my son or my daughter or my brother or my sister because of the color of their skin. Could you stand on the day of judgment and tell Allah that? Could you stand on the day of judgment and stand on your word, on your actions, the same actions that you are the same actions that you are carrying out every single day? I'm pretty sure you couldn't. You would crumble at the thought. So why are we doing it now? Why are we carrying out this same mentality and these disgusting actions every single day? Every single day. And I see it every single day. I hear the horror stories every single day. Oh my gosh, especially with Muslim reverts and converts who are black. Amongst some of the last to get married. We are amongst some of the last to get married. And I'm not saying like we're trying to marry outside of our race. I'm just saying if you so happen to want to marry someone who is outside your race, it's met with many challenges. It's met with many challenges. And oftentimes I hear it ending horribly. We do have those wonderful success stories of two people coming together, and after years, I got another call again. And after years of convincing the family to get married, then they get married, but it's met with many challenges. We sincerely need to look within our Islamic communities and within our families and filter out the racism within ourselves. Honestly, filter out the racism within ourselves. I know I'm jumping all over the place, but I was thinking about this the other day as well. And, you know, when police need to understand, okay, you claim, I spoke to an officer when I was at the protest. And I said, what are your thoughts on why this is happening? He was like, I don't agree with what, I was like, in terms of George Floyd, he said, I don't agree with what happened that day, and I don't support it at all. I was like, okay, but tell me, why does it continue to happen? What is the thought process? There's a deep-rooted issue here because it continues to happen. Police brutality against Black people continues to happen, and it leads to death. It leads to murder. Why does it continue to happen? The officer said, do you understand how many people we come up against today? I said, I 100% understand that. But when a man is lying with his hands cuffed behind his back, when he is lying on the ground, when he is not moving at all, why the excessive force? Why the knee on the neck? Why is he murdered? Why was he murdered? When you've checked him, when you've cuffed him, when you've put him on the ground, after you've already abused him, why kill him? And the officer had nothing to say. And I posed those questions to challenge him to go home and think about what he's gonna do as an officer. What is he gonna do? What is his role gonna be in order to change the way things are? How is he going to collaborate with his colleagues to change the way things are? That's why I posed a question to him. You know, it's absolutely insane. But by looking at him, and I can say this genuinely, like, I want people to understand we're protesting this country, this nation, and it's actually crossed seas now and gone international. This nation is protesting out of, it is a plea, it is a sincere cry for help, a sincere cry for understanding, a sincere cry to show you, we need you to feel how much this is hurting, how much our communities are affected by police brutality, by racism. It's deep, honestly. It is not that people are trying to act out. Honestly, we are expressing our pain in a way that, hold on one second, in a way that we're expressing our pain in a way that we find fitting because no other way has been heard.